Before we look at the challengers, we have to respect the champion. The grizzly bear is an evolutionary masterpiece. They possess a massive hump of muscle over their shoulders, specifically designed for powering their forelimbs, giving them the ability to flip 500-pound boulders like they're pebbles. Their bite force is measured at over 1,100 pounds per square inch, strong enough to crush a bowling ball. They are fast, reaching speeds of 35 miles per hour, and they are incredibly durable. However, the animal kingdom is not a vacuum. In nature, strong is relative. While the grizzly is the apex of the North American wilderness, when we look across the globe, we find specialized killers, massive tanks, and prehistoric titans that possess physical advantages the bear simply cannot overcome. Let's break down the 7 animals that could legitimately take down a grizzly in a fight. First, the Siberian tiger. In the snowy forests of the Russian Far East, there is a real-world overlap where the largest cat on Earth meets the Ussuri brown bear, a close relative of the grizzly. While many assume a bear's bulk wins every time, the Siberian tiger is a master of the assassin playstyle. A male Siberian tiger can weigh up to 660 pounds of pure, explosive muscle. Unlike the grizzly, which is an omnivore and a generalist brawler, the tiger is an obligate carnivore. Every fiber of its being is designed to kill. The tiger's advantage lies in its agility and its weaponry. A tiger has retractable claws that act like grappling hooks, allowing it to latch onto the bear's back or neck. In a head-to-head wrestling match, the bear might have the edge in raw stamina, but the tiger doesn't play by those rules. It uses an ambush strike, often aiming for the base of the skull or the jugular. Biologists have actually documented tigers successfully hunting and eating brown bears in the wild. The tiger's superior reaction time and its ability to use all 4 paws and its jaws simultaneously make it perhaps the most dangerous one-on-one opponent a grizzly could ever face. Next up, the African bush elephant. If the tiger is an assassin, the African bush elephant is a mountain. There is a common misconception in the wild that predator always beats prey, but in the case of the elephant, size is an absolute defense. An adult male elephant can weigh 13,000 pounds. To an elephant, an 800-pound grizzly is roughly the size of a large dog. The grizzly's primary weapons, its claws and teeth, would be almost useless against the elephant's skin, which is up to an inch thick and incredibly tough. Meanwhile, the elephant has multiple ways to end the fight instantly. A single charge could result in the bear being gored by tusks that can reach 6 feet in length. Even without the tusks, the elephant's trunk has the power to lift 700 pounds or strike with the force of a sledgehammer. And if the elephant manages to knock the bear down, a single step from a 6-ton animal would crush the grizzly's ribcage and internal organs instantly. In this matchup, the grizzly isn't a threat, it's a nuisance. Then we have the polar bear. This is the ultimate civil war of the bear family. While grizzlies and polar bears are closely related, the polar bear is the only bear species that has evolved to be a full-time maritime carnivore. Polar bears are significantly larger, with large males weighing up to 1,500 pounds, nearly double the size of an average grizzly. But the size isn't the only factor. It's the biology of the hunt. Polar bears have longer necks and more streamlined heads, which gives them a greater reach in a biting match. In the rare instances where these two species meet in the wild, usually over a whale carcass, the grizzly is often the more aggressive of the two, and sometimes even scares the polar bear away through sheer attitude. However, if it comes down to a life-or-death physical struggle, the polar bear's sheer mass, thicker fat layer, acting as armor, and massive paws give it a structural advantage that a grizzly simply cannot match. It's a fight between a middleweight and a heavyweight. Coming in at number 4, the Cape buffalo. Found in sub-Saharan Africa, the Cape buffalo is often called the Black Death or the Widowmaker. It is responsible for more hunter deaths in Africa than almost any other large animal. Why? Because it is one of the few animals that will actually circle back and hunt the person or predator that is tracking it. A Cape buffalo weighs about 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. Its most formidable feature is its boss, the massive, continuous bone shield that covers the top of its head. If a grizzly were to strike the buffalo's head, it would likely break its own paw. In a fight, the buffalo uses its low center of gravity to ram its opponent. A grizzly's strength is in its ability to stand on two legs and swat, but that makes it vulnerable to being gored in the soft underbelly. One upward thrust of the buffalo's sharp, curved horns can puncture the bear's lungs or heart. Unlike most bovines, the Cape buffalo doesn't run away when wounded. It becomes more aggressive, making it a nightmare opponent for a bear used to intimidating its prey. Moving to the water, we find the saltwater crocodile. This matchup depends entirely on geography. On land, the bear's mobility would allow it to dance around the crocodile. But in the water, or even within 10 feet of the shoreline, the grizzly is in grave danger. The saltwater crocodile has the highest bite force ever recorded in the animal kingdom, at roughly 3,700 psi. To put that in perspective, that's more than 3 times the bite force of the grizzly. A crocodile doesn't need to out-wrestle a bear. It only needs to land one single bite. Once those jaws lock onto a limb, the crocodile performs a death roll, a high-speed spin that uses centrifugal force to tear limbs clean off the socket or snap heavy bone. The grizzly's thick fur and hide offer no protection against that level of mechanical pressure. Next is the white rhinoceros. If you were to design a biological tank, it would look like the white rhino. Weighing in at up to 5,000 pounds, the rhino is a wall of muscle and thickened skin that is almost like natural plate armor. The grizzly bear's strategy usually involves swiping at the face or neck of an opponent to cause trauma. Against a rhino, this would be like hitting a brick wall. The rhino's horn is made of solid keratin, the same stuff as your fingernails, but incredibly dense. Because the rhino can charge at speeds of 30 to 35 miles per hour, the kinetic energy behind that horn is devastating. A grizzly hit by a charging rhino wouldn't just be wounded. The force would likely shatter the bear's spine or throw it 20 feet into the air. The bear has no way to penetrate the rhino's hide, while the rhino can end the fight with one focused charge. And finally, the hippo. A hippo's mouth is its primary weapon, and it is a terrifying one. They can open their jaws to an 180-degree angle, revealing tusks that can grow up to 2 feet long. These tusks aren't for eating, they are for combat. A hippo's bite can snap a 10-foot crocodile in half. The grizzly bear's wrestling style requires it to get close and hug its opponent to use its weight. Doing this to a hippo would be suicide. The hippo's head is so large and its jaw so wide that it could essentially engulf the bear's upper body. Furthermore, hippo skin is incredibly thick and covered in a slippery mucus, making it very hard for a bear to get a solid grip with its claws. In the water or on land, the hippo's sheer aggression and one-shot kill potential with its jaws make it the ultimate bear slayer. In conclusion, the grizzly bear remains one of nature's most impressive predators. In its own ecosystem, it has no equal. But when we look at the global heavyweights, the surgical precision of the Siberian tiger, the massive scale of the elephant and rhino, or the crushing bite of the hippo and crocodile, we see that even the king of the north has his limits. Nature doesn't care about fair fights. It cares about physics, specialized weaponry, and survival. The grizzly is a master of its domain, but in the world of the ultra-heavyweights, sometimes even a king has to bow down.